If you really want to make it up to her, then show up. In 2 days. She's getting married. And as you've taken care of her for so long, you'd better be there. I smiled, turning to face him. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, unbidden. This was the brother who'd fretted over every boy. Who looked at me when I was 16. Who'd begged Devon to keep me safe. Who had no idea. The man he trusted most had shattered his little sister into pieces. Don't get emotional, I teased. My voice wavering slightly. You'll ruin your fancy suit. Marvin stepped forward, gently wiping a tear from my cheek with his thumb. His hands were steady, but his eyes glistened. I always thought I'd walk you down the aisle. For a love you chose freely. Not one you ran to. He paused, his gaze searching mine. If you take one step back right now, I'll cancel everything, no questions asked. I placed my hand over his, squeezing it tightly. I know. But this is what I need. Let's just get through today. He didn't push further, giving me a sharp nod. The door creaked open again. And Frances's mother, Eleanor, stepped in holding a delicate veil. Her expression was soft. The sharp judgment from the previous day replaced with quiet understanding. It's time, dear. The guests are seated and the sun is setting perfectly. She placed the veil over my hair, securing it with a small pearl pin that matched my necklace. Francis has been waiting for someone who sees him. Not just the Sinclair name. Don't let your past steal your future. Her words were quiet, only for my ears. And I nodded, unable to speak. Marvin offered me his arm and I slipped my hand through it, my fingers trembling slightly. The hallway was lined with soft white roses, the scent filling the air. As we walked toward the garden, I could hear the gentle strum of a guitar, the quiet murmur of guests. And my heart hammered so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. As we stepped through the stone archway, my eyes locked onto Francis. He stood at the altar, his suit immaculate, his warm brown eyes fixed on me. There was no impatience, no arrogance. Only patience and the quiet kindness that made my chest ache. For a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to hope that this could work. That I could build something real with him. And I saw him. Devon stood at the back of the gathering, half hidden by a row of lavender bushes. His suit was rumpled, his hair messy. Dark circles ringed his eyes. He hadn't bothered to hide his gaze burning into me like a brand. My breath caught, my steps faltering for half a second. Marvin squeezed my arm, a silent warning. And I lifted my chin, forcing myself to keep walking forward. I didn't look at him again. Not when Marvin pressed my hand into Francis's knot. When the officiant began to speak, I focused on Francis's warm smile, on the way his thumb brushed over my knuckles, on the future I was trying to carve out for myself. The officiant's words washed over me. A gentle hum until he asked the fateful question. Does anyone present have just cause? Why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony? Speak now or forever. Hold your peace. Garden fell deathly silent. Every eye turned toward the back. Toward Devon. I held my breath, my nails digging into Francis's palm. I saw him straighten, saw him take a step forward. And my blood ran cold. This was it. He would ruin everything. Scream his apologies. Beg me to come back. I prepared myself for the humiliation. For the scene that would destroy any chance I had at a new life. But he didn't move. He stood there. His jaw clenched, his knuckles white as he gripped the strap of his bag. Seconds stretched into an eternity. And the official cleared his throat. Very well, please repeat after me. I repeated the vows, my voice steady as Francis's warm eyes never left mine. When he slipped a simple silver band onto my finger, I glanced down at it, a foreign weight on my hand. This was my new reality. No more late-night calls. No more secret meetings. No more waiting for a man who would never choose me. You may now kiss the bride. Francis leaned in, his kiss soft and chaste, respectful. It was nothing like the hungry, possessive kisses Devon had given me. Nothing like the fire that had consumed me for 4 years. It was gentle, safe. And I closed my eyes, letting it happen. When we pulled apart, the small crowd clapped politely. I forced a smile, turning to greet the few family, friends and Sinclair relatives who had attended. Francis stayed by my side, his hand resting on the small of my back. A silent anger. I avoided the back of the garden entirely, refusing to let Devon pull me back into his chaos. Reception was a small affair, held in a glass conservatory attached to the estate. The tables were adorned with white roses and fairy lights, and waiters circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Francis danced with me first, his movements slow and easy, never pressing me too close. You look like you're somewhere else, he said quietly as we swayed to the music. Processing everything, I replied, forcing a light tone. He nodded. Take all the time you need. I'm in no rush. His kindness was overwhelming, and I looked away, my gaze landing on Devon. He had moved to the bar, leaning against the counter, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He was watching me, his expression unreadable. As Melissa sat beside him, her hand draped over his arm. She laughed at something he said, her eyes flicking to me, triumphant. I looked away, my throat burning. Marvin found me a few minutes later, pulling me into a quiet corner. He didn't say a word, he said, his voice tight. I don't know whether to be relieved or worried. Relieved, I said firmly. It's over, Marvin. Really? He studied me for a moment, then sighed. I hope you're right. But Devon, he's not himself. He's been blowing up my phone, showing up at my office, acting like a man possessed. I don't trust him to leave you alone. Before I could reply, a waiter brushed past me, accidentally spilling champagne down the front of my dress. I gasped, stepping back. Francis was immediately at my side, handing me a napkin. Are you okay? Let's get you cleaned up. There's a guest bathroom down the hall. I nodded, grateful for the excuse to escape the tension. I'll be right back. I walked down the quiet hallway, the sound of the reception fading behind me. The bathroom was elegant with marble countertops and a large mirror. I wet a paper towel, dabbing at the champagne stain. When the door clicked open behind me, I froze. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. The scent of his cologne, the quiet sound of his breathing. It was burned into my memory. Jennifer. His voice was rough, hoarse. Nothing like the cold, detached tone he'd used in the office. I kept my back to him, focusing on the stain. You shouldn't be here. This is for wedding guests only. I don't care about rules, he said. Taking a step closer. The space between us felt impossibly small, the air thick with tension. Why did you do this? I turned to face him, my jaw set. I told you it's too late. I'm married now, he laughed. A bitter, hollow sound, running a hand through his messy hair. Married to Francis Sinclair. You don't love him. You never have. And I never loved you, I shot back, my voice rising. For years, Devon. For years of being your secret. Your dirty little secret. I was there for you when you were drunk, when you were stressed, when you had no one else. And when Melissa came back, I was just a mistake you wanted to erase. You told me I crawled into your bed, that I was pathetic. Do you remember that? His face paled, his shoulders slumping. I was angry. I was scared. I didn't mean it. You always mean what you say when you're angry, I said, my voice breaking. You threw my things away like trash. You let her slap me. You blamed me for her own stupidity. You left me in the rain while you drove her to the hospital. You don't get to take it back. You don't get to show up here and act like you care. I do care, he said, stepping forward, reaching for my hand. I pulled away like I'd been burned more than you know. I messed up, Jen. I messed up so badly. I thought pushing you away would keep you safe, that Melissa's return would fix everything. But it only made me realize Save it. I cut him off. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear anything from you. Just leave me alone. He didn't move. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a small crumpled piece of paper. He handed it to me and I stared at it, hesitant. I finally took it, unfolding it slowly. My breath caught. It was one of the paper stars I'd made. The one I'd written I love you on. The one I'd hidden in the 1001 jar. It had been crushed, but the words were still legible. I pulled it out of the trash. He said quietly. I couldn't throw it away. I've been carrying it with me ever since. I stared at the star, my hands shaking. All those years of quiet love. Of hidden affection. Reduced to a crumpled piece of paper in a man's pocket. I folded it back up, handing it to him. Keep it. It's the only thing you'll have left of me. I tried to walk past him, but he blocked my path. His hand pressing against the wall beside my head. Trapping me. His gaze was intense. Desperate, and I could see the pain in his eyes. The regret. Don't marry him. Leave with me. We can go anywhere. Start over. I'll make it right, Jennifer. I swear I will. For a split second. I wavered. The old part of me. The part that had loved him since I was a teenager. The part that had waited for this moment for years. Screamed to say yes, to run away with him. To forget the pain, the humiliation. The broken promises. But then I remembered Melissa's smile. The burn on my arm, the way he'd looked at her like I didn't exist. I placed my hands on his chest. Pushing him away hard. He stumbled back, surprised. I'm not running anymore, Devin. I'm not the girl who will wait for you to choose me. I'm Jennifer Huckabee now. Now. Jennifer Sinclair, and you need to accept that. I walked past him, not looking back. And opened the bathroom door. Francis stood in the hallway. His expression unreadable. He'd heard everything. My heart sank. The silence in the hallway was heavier than the veil I'd just taken off. Francis stood perfectly still. The corridor lights cast long shadows across his face, hiding his eyes, but the tension in his jaw was visible. He didn't look angry. That would have been easier to handle. Anger I could fight, anger I was used to. Instead, he looked incredibly tired. Francis, I started, my voice failing me. He held up a hand, a quiet motion that silenced me instantly. He looked past me, toward the bathroom door where Devin was undoubtedly still standing, listening. Then, Francis's gaze shifted to me. You pushed him away, Francis said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. I did. But you wanted to go. I swallowed hard, fighting the urge to lie. Francis deserved better than the half-truths I'd fed Devin. A part of me wanted to go back to when I was 19 and things were simple. But that version of me doesn't exist anymore. Francis studied me for a long moment. He took a step forward, closing the distance, and reached out. I flinched instinctively, expecting him to grab my arm, but he merely adjusted the strap of my dress where the champagne had been spilled. His knuckles grazed my collarbone, cool, dry, steady. Go back to the car, Jennifer, he said softly. I'll handle this. Francis, don't. I'm not going to fight him, he said, a ghost of a wry smile touching his lips. I'm not a brawler. But I need to make sure my wife isn't harassed at her own wedding reception. Go. I hesitated, looking at the bathroom door one last time, then turned and walked away. I didn't look back. The drive to the hotel was silent. Marvin had tried to intercept us, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, but Francis had waved him off with a calm authority that surprised me. When we entered the penthouse suite, the facade finally cracked. Francis loosened his tie, tossing it onto the armchair, and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I knew, he said, his back to me. I knew you were still in love with him when I proposed. Francis, No, let me finish. He turned. I needed a wife. You needed safety. It was a transaction. But I have a rule, Jennifer. I don't share what is mine. And I don't invest in bad assets. He walked over to the minibar and poured 2 glasses of water, not alcohol. He handed one to me. I heard everything in that hallway. I heard him beg. I heard you waver. He took a sip, his eyes locking onto mine. But I also heard you choose this marriage. That is the only reason we are standing here tonight and not annulling this in the morning. I gripped the cold glass. I meant what I said to him. I'm tired of the chaos, Francis. I want peace. Peace, he repeated, testing the word. I can give you peace. I can give you the world, Jennifer. But you have to bury him. Not just in public, but in here. He tapped his chest. If you can't do that, tell me now. I thought of the paper star in Devon's pocket. I thought of the years of crying myself to sleep, the humiliation of Melissa's smirk. Then I looked at Francis, stable, intelligent, patient Francis, who had seen my scars and married me anyway. He's buried, I whispered. I promise. Francis nodded, setting his glass down. Good. Then let's get some rest. It's been a long day. He took the guest room. The first 6 months of our marriage were a dance of polite distance. We moved into the Sinclair estate, a sprawling property that felt more like a museum than a home. I played the part of the perfect wife. I organized charity galas, I smiled at dinner parties, and I ignored the tabloids that speculated on why Devon was suddenly spiraling out of control in the city's nightlife scene. Francis was kind, but guarded. He treated me like a precious, fragile vase, something to be admired and protected, but not touched too roughly lest it shatter. We had breakfast together every morning. The redesign of the conservatory is going well, I said one Tuesday, buttering my toast. Francis lowered his newspaper. I saw the sketches. You have a good eye, Jennifer. My mother would have hated it, which means it's perfect. I smiled, a genuine one. She did like her heavy drapes. She liked hiding things, Francis murmured. He looked at me, his gaze softening. You look happy today. I am, I realized. And I was. The anxiety that had lived in my chest for 4 years, the constant wondering where Devon was, who he was with, was gone. Good. He stood up, buttoning his suit jacket. I'll be late tonight. Board meeting. Okay. I'll have dinner kept warm. He walked over, kissed the top of my head, and left. It was domestic. It was safe. But safety has a way of becoming suffocating if you aren't careful. The crack in our peaceful existence came in the form of a phone call at 2:00 a.m. The landline on Francis's side of the bed rang. He groaned, fumbling for it. I sat up, heart pounding. Hello. His voice was thick with sleep. Then, it hardened. I see. Yes. No, don't call the police yet. I'll be there. He hung up and threw the covers off. What is it? I asked. Security at the front gate, Francis said, pulling on his trousers. Someone crashed a car into the lower brick wall. They're drunk. I knew before he said it. I felt the cold dread seep into my bones. It's him, isn't it? Francis paused, shirt half buttoned. He looked at me in the dim light. Stay here, Jennifer. No. I stood up. If he's at our house, I'm coming. Jennifer. He's doing this to get a reaction. If I hide, he wins. If I go down there and tell him to leave, maybe he'll finally stop. Francis clenched his jaw, then nodded once. Put on a coat. It was raining, a torrential downpour that blurred the driveway lights. Devon's black sedan was crumpled against the stone pillar of the gate. Steam hissed from the radiator. Security guards were trying to pull him out, but he was fighting them, shouting my name. Jennifer. I know you're in there. We walked down the driveway under a large umbrella Francis held. When Devon saw us, he stopped struggling. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, his shirt soaked, his eyes wild and bloodshot. Jen, he slurred, stumbling forward. The guards stepped back at a nod from Francis. Look at you, Devon laughed, a broken sound. Lady of the manor. Did he buy you that coat, too? Go home, Devon, I said, my voice cutting through the rain. You're drunk. I'm not drunk. I'm clarity. I have clarity. He swayed, pointing a shaking finger at Francis. You think he loves you? He doesn't know how to love. He's a spreadsheet in a suit. He treats me with respect, I said calmly. Which is more than you ever did. Devin flinched as if I'd slapped him. I still have the star, he whispered, reaching for his pocket. I read it every day. Burn it, I said. It's trash. Just like the way you treated me. Devin stared at me, water dripping from his nose, his expression crumbling from arrogance to utter despair. He looked young suddenly, and lost. I can't breathe without you, he choked out. Then learn, I said. Because I'm breathing just fine. I turned to Francis. Call a cab. Have the guards drive his car to the impound. I'm going inside. I walked back up the driveway alone. My hands were shaking, not from love, but from adrenaline. I felt a strange lightness. The spell was broken. Seeing him like that, pathetic, selfish, refusing to take responsibility, killed the last lingering, what if, in my heart. When Francis came back to bed an hour later, he didn't touch me. He lay on his back, staring at the ceiling. You were cruel tonight, he said quietly. I had to be. Did it hurt? No, I said, and realized it was the truth. It felt like closing a book I should have finished years ago. Francis turned his head on the pillow. In the dark, his eyes searched mine. Then come here. I shifted across the mattress. For the first time, he didn't hold me like I was fragile. He kissed me with a desperate, possessive intensity that shocked me. It wasn't the safe, chaste kiss of our wedding day. It was a claim. And for the first time, I kissed him back with everything I had. The dynamic changed after that night. The ghost was gone, and in its place, a real marriage began to form. I learned that Francis wasn't just safe. He was complex. He had a dry, biting wit that only came out after 2 glasses of wine. He played the piano when he thought no one was listening, mostly melancholic Chopin pieces. I also learned why he was so guarded. We were in the library, months later. I was looking for a book and found a photo album tucked behind a row of encyclopedias. It was full of pictures of a younger Francis with a vibrant, red-headed woman. They looked happy. In the last few pages, she looked sick. Frail. Her name was Sarah. Francis's voice came from the doorway. I jumped, guiltily closing the album. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry. He walked over, taking the album from my hands. He didn't look angry. He traced the face of the woman in the photo. She was my fiancée. She died 7 years ago. Leukemia. Francis, I didn't know. No one talks about it. The Sinclairs don't discuss unpleasant things like death. He closed the book and set it down. I died with her, Jennifer. For a long time. When I met you, I saw someone who was grieving, too. Not a death, but a loss. I thought we could be lonely together. And now. I stepped closer to him. Now, he looked at me, his gaze intense. I'm terrified. Because I'm starting to feel things I promised myself I'd never feel again. And I don't know if I can survive losing you, too. My heart ached for him. All this time, I thought I was the tragedy of this relationship. I didn't realize he was carrying a mountain of his own. I took his face in my hands. You aren't going to lose me. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me, he whispered. I promise. 2 years passed. Life was good. I had started my own interior design firm, using the Sinclair connections but doing the work myself. Francis and I were happy. We were talking about children. Devin had vanished. Rumors said he'd moved to London, or maybe New York. I didn't check. I didn't care. Until the letter arrived. It wasn't from Devin. It was from Melissa. It arrived at my office, marked personal. Jennifer. I know you hate me. You should. I was threatened by you, so I tried to destroy you. I won, but the prize was worthless because he never looked at me the way he looked at you. Devin is in the ICU at St. Jude's. Liver failure. Alcohol. The doctors say he has maybe a few days. He hasn't asked for you. He made me promise not to call you. But he calls out your name when he's hallucinating. I'm not asking you to forgive him. But if you need closure, this is it. Melissa. I stared at the paper. The old panic tried to rise, but it hit a wall of calm. I went home early. Francis was in the garden, pruning the roses, a hobby he'd picked up to manage stress. Devin is dying, I said. Francis froze, the shears hovering over a stem. He slowly set them down and turned to me. He removed his gardening gloves, his face unreadable. Are you going to go? He asked. I don't know. If you go, Francis said, his voice steady but his eyes betraying a flicker of fear, I won't stop you. But I won't go with you. That is a part of your life I cannot be part of. I know. I spent an hour sitting in our bedroom, looking at the life we'd built. The photos on the dresser. The book on his nightstand. The peace. I drove to St. Jude's alone. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and misery. Melissa was in the waiting room. She looked 10 years older, her glamour stripped away by exhaustion. When she saw me, she stood up, tears welling in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. I'm not doing this for you, I said coldly. I walked into the room. Devin looked small. The machines beeped rhythmically. His skin was jaundiced, his breathing shallow. He wasn't the monster who had broken me, or the handsome boy who had charmed me. He was just a dying man. I sat in the chair beside the bed. I didn't hold his hand. His eyes fluttered open. It took him a moment to focus. When he saw me, a weak smile touched his lips. You came, he rasped. I came. Does this mean, there's a chance? Even at the end, he didn't get it. No, Devin, I said gently. There's no chance. I'm married. I love my husband. The light in his eyes dimmed slightly. Right. Francis. I came to tell you that I forgive you, I said. Not because you deserve it, but because I don't want to carry the anger anymore. I'm letting it go. I'm letting you go. I wasted it, he whispered, a tear sliding down his temple. We could have been. No, I interrupted. We were never going to work, Devin. We were toxic. We hurt each other. That wasn't love. It was addiction. I reached into my purse. I had brought something. It was a small paper star, one I had made myself that morning. You kept the old one, I said. But that was a lie. This is the truth. I placed the star on the bedside table. I hadn't written I love you inside. I had written goodbye. I hope you find peace, Devin, I said. I stood up and walked to the door. Jen. I paused, hand on the handle. He's a lucky man. I know, I said. I walked out. I nodded to Melissa, who was sobbing into her hands, and I left the hospital. When I pulled into the driveway, it was late. The house was dark, except for a single light in the conservatory. Francis was sitting there, a glass of whiskey untouched on the table, staring out at the darkness. He looked up when I entered. He looked terrified. I didn't say a word. I walked over to him and climbed into his lap, burying my face in his neck. He let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for hours, his arms wrapping around me so tight it almost hurt. You came back, he whispered into my hair. I was always coming back, I said, pulling back to look at him. This is my home. You are my home. Is it over? It's over. Francis closed his eyes, leaning his forehead against mine. I love you, Jennifer. Not because you're my wife, and not because I need someone. I love you. I love you too, I said, and the words felt heavy and real, weighted with history and choice. I choose you. Every day, I choose you. The sun began to crest over the horizon, casting a pale gold light through the glass walls of the conservatory. It illuminated the white roses, the same ones from our wedding, now blooming fuller and stronger than before. Devin was my past, a lesson learned in fire and tears. But Francis was my future. And for the first time in my life, the future looked bright. I kissed my husband, and the sun rose on the rest of our lives.